I never told my family I bought a house. Not because I was trying to be mysterious, and not because I was ashamed of it. I kept it quiet because in my family, any good news immediately turned into a group project where I was expected to share, lend, forgive, and stay silent. My older sister, Melissa, was the golden child. If she was late on rent, my parents called it a rough month. If I was late to a birthday dinner because I had work, I was selfish. When Melissa totaled her car, everyone asked what I could contribute. When I paid off my student loans, my mom said, "That must be nice," like I had personally insulted her. So when I bought a small 3-bedroom house at 27, I told almost nobody. It was not a mansion. It was not some dramatic rich person's secret. It was a clean little place on the edge of town that needed paint, new gutters, and a lot of weekends. I bought it under an LLC because a friend who owned rentals told me it would keep things clean legally. I hired a property manager named David, and my plan was simple: rent it out, save the income, and maybe one day move into it myself. The only mistake I made was letting Melissa find out. At the time, she was helping me move some boxes out of my apartment, and she saw a folder on my desk with the property address on it. I told her it was an investment, not a family announcement, and I made her promise not to say anything. She rolled her eyes and said, "Relax, I'm not obsessed with your boring landlord era." For once, I believed her. For about a year, everything was normal. David sent me monthly updates. The rent came in. Repairs were handled. I did not ask many questions because the whole point of having a manager was not being dragged into tenant drama. Then David emailed me and said the tenants had asked to communicate directly with the family contact for small issues, and Melissa had volunteered to help because she lived nearby. I called her immediately. She said it was no big deal. She said she just forwarded maintenance messages because David was slow. She said the tenants were sweet older people and I should be grateful someone cared enough to help. I told her, very clearly, that she was not authorized to collect money, sign anything, or represent me. She laughed and said, "Oh my God, you watched too many lawyer shows." That should have been my warning. Last month, my parents called me crying. My dad sounded exhausted, and my mom was doing that shaky voice she uses when she wants me to feel guilty before I even know what happened. They said their landlord had raised their rent again. They were already paying more than they could afford, and now they might have to move in with my aunt. I was confused because my parents had never mentioned moving from their old apartment. When I asked for the address, my mom texted it to me. My stomach dropped so hard I had to sit down. It was my house. For a full minute, I just stared at the screen. I thought maybe there was a mistake, maybe the street name was similar, maybe my brain was protecting me from what was obvious. Then I opened the property file. Same address. Same unit. Same little house I had spent 2 summers fixing up. I called David and asked who the tenants were. He said, "Your parents, right? Your sister arranged it. She said you wanted family in there because they would take better care of it." My ears started ringing. I asked who had been collecting rent. David paused. Then he said, "Melissa told me you two had a private agreement. She said the family was paying her and she was forwarding your portion." I had not received $1. For 8 months, my sister had moved my parents into my house, charged them rent, increased it twice, and kept every cent. And the worst part was, my parents thought she was saving them. She had apparently told them she convinced some rich investor to rent below market because she had connections. Every time the rent went up, she blamed the invisible landlord. Every time they struggled, she let them thank her. I asked David for every email, every text, every maintenance request, and every document connected to the property. Then I called my dad back and asked him to send me screenshots of every payment they had made. He hesitated because Melissa had told them not to involve me. That sentence alone almost made me throw up. By dinner time, I had the whole picture. Melissa had charged them 8 months of rent, 2 emergency maintenance fees, and 1 fake security deposit. She had even made them pay for a water heater repair that I had already paid David to handle. She told my parents the landlord was getting aggressive. She told David that I was helping my parents discreetly and did not want paperwork because it was a family matter. She told me nothing. That Sunday, we had dinner at my parents' place, which was actually my place. Melissa came in like nothing was wrong, carrying a bakery cake and wearing new boots I am pretty sure my parents helped buy through fake rent. My mom started thanking her again. She said, "Your sister has been such a blessing. I don't know where we would be without her." Melissa smiled at me across the table. It was not even nervous. It was smug. I opened my laptop. I said, "That's funny, because I own this house." At first, nobody moved. My mom laughed because she thought I was making a weird joke. My dad looked between me and Melissa. Melissa's face changed so fast it was like someone turned off a light. She said, "Why would you say that right now?" I turned the laptop around and showed the deed record, the LLC paperwork, and the property management agreement. Then I showed the payment screenshots my parents had sent me. Then I showed David's emails where Melissa claimed she had my permission. My mom whispered, "Melissa, what is this?" Melissa immediately started crying, but not apologizing. She said she was going to pay me back. She said she only did it because she was drowning. She said I would not understand pressure because I had secret house money. She said our parents needed a place anyway, so technically she helped everyone. My dad stood up and asked the question that made the whole table go silent. He said, "Were you ever going to tell us our daughter was our landlord?" Melissa did not answer. That was the moment my mom started crying for real. Not the soft guilty tears she uses on me. Real, embarrassed, devastated tears. She realized she had been defending Melissa to me for months while Melissa was stealing from both sides. I told them they did not owe Melissa another cent. I told them they could stay in the house for 6 months rent-free while we figured out a fair arrangement. I also told Melissa she had 48 hours to return every dollar she took, or I would take the paperwork to a lawyer and the police. She screamed that I was choosing money over family. For once, my dad answered before I could. He said, "No. You did." The next 2 days were chaos. Melissa sent me long messages about betrayal. Her husband called me greedy. My aunt said I should keep it private because legal trouble could ruin Melissa's life. I asked all of them one question: if a stranger had done this to my parents, would you tell me to protect the stranger? Nobody had a good answer. Melissa eventually returned part of the money. Not all of it. Enough to prove she had access to it, but not enough to prove she was sorry. David resigned as property manager, which honestly was fair, because he should have verified everything with me directly. I hired someone new and set up a real lease for my parents at a number they can actually afford. Now the family is split. Some people say I humiliated Melissa by exposing her at dinner. They say I should have pulled her aside privately. But if I had done that, she would have found another way to lie. She would have cried first, controlled the story first, and made me look cruel for questioning her. My parents still live in the house. My mom apologizes almost every time I visit, even though she is not the one who stole from me. My dad barely speaks to Melissa. Melissa says I destroyed the family. But I keep thinking about those 8 months. Every payment. Every fake fee. Every time my parents thanked her for protecting them from a landlord who was actually me. So, am I wrong for exposing my sister at family dinner instead of handling it quietly? Or did she lose the right to privacy the second she started charging our parents rent for a house I owned?